people of Reddit who knew celebrity before they were famous, how different do they act now? I live in the town where Dolly Parton grew up, and practically everyone above the age of 50 who grew up here claims to either be a distant relative of Dolly's or they claim to know her in some way. Everyone has their story of the time they met Dolly. It's pretty obvious, but regardless of who you talk to, Dolly has always been sweet and generous, but everything has simply grown exponentially due to her fame. Examples are the millions of books she gives out for free to children around the globe each month, or how she gave out $10,000 cards to many of my close friends after their house burned in a fire a couple years back. Thousands of people are employed here and work for one of the businesses she owns, and it's a test strange to see when you walk in. But the birth center at the local hospital is funded by a named after her. I honestly can't think of one person I know who just like her. Dolly's heart has only gotten bigger because of fame. Comment by second guy you know. My coworker's dad grew up with Queen Latifah in North Jersey. His whole family loves her because they were about to lose their house, so she paid it off for them. They've never said a bad thing about her. Queen Latifah, if this gets back to you, thanks for what you did for your friends in NJ. Feels are a really cool guy. Comment by Sashimi Girl. I went to school with Rupert Grint, Ron Weasley from Harry Potter. I was into acting too, so we had done a few school plays together. He was really nice, very chill, a good laugh. I haven't seen him since school days, but he kept coming to classes whenever he wasn't filming. Was always happy to chat about the movies. Sometimes he'd need a little break from so many people wanting to talk. I would come and hang out in the library, and honestly, you'd never know he was in the biggest film series at the time. Honestly, I think a lot of these answers boil down to if they want to fame or not. Rupert loved what he was doing, but didn't care about being famous and having people kiss his ass. Just a nice normal kid. Comment by calls you a balance.
Wait, shut up! Shut up!
When I was really young, I'd go to Reptile Park, originally owned by Bob Irwin, and passed on to his son Steve. Steve was always nice, would do all the lizard and croc shows, would hang out and chat afterwards. My dad would take me there occasionally, and Steve would seem to remember us, treated everyone like an old buddy. This was before he became famous, obviously, and the small Reptile Park became the Australian Zoo. In the final year of high school, I got in the zoo for work experience, and Steve was rarely there. And when he was avoid guests because they would swarm him and he'd get nothing done. But when I did run into him, he was always super nice and still acted like that old friend. Didn't say crikey nearly as much as you think. That's definitely something Aussies say, but he really played that up for the cameras as his catchphrase. Unfortunately, he died later that year, so right up to the end, he was just a lovely person. Comment by Shajiri. Bruno Mars' mom was a bartender at a local karaoke dive bar that I was a regular at. At the time, his biggest hit was the hook for Millionaire by Travie Marco. Anyway, she was selling tickets for an upcoming concert he was having, and she asked our table if we wanted to buy some. My friend declined and she exclaimed, "Why not? He's my son." I ended up getting a couple of tickets despite not knowing any of Bruno Mars songs. It turns out to be one of the best concerts I've ever been to. The guy knows how to put on a good live show. The tickets were only $40 each, I think. His opening act was a local group of large Polynesian men singing Motown who went by the name Nelson 9. They were pretty good too. The next time he was in town for a concert, he had blown up and the tickets were going for $400. I would have loved to see him again, but not at that price. His mom was really nice, down to earth, and a pretty good singer herself, Rip Benny. At least she lived long enough to see her son's success. Comment by Anonymous Potato. Tyler, the Creator, exactly the same. We were all concerned at how bizarre he was. He would call people a table or something incredibly random, and the sense of humor caught on. In my high school, the fan did nothing. He's still strange and a sweetheart. Comment by Lib T. Parse. My dad was a good friend with Will Smith before the Fresh Prince days. Will actually sold him the pilot before it aired. Fast forward, however many years to After Earth, and Will invited us on the set. His first words when he saw my dad 10 plus years later was the Philly crew in Pack. Both Will and Jaden are the sweetest people you'll ever meet. Comment by SMP610. A close family friend was best friends with Tom Cruise before he got famous. I didn't believe her, and she showed me pictures they have taken together like a Vegas road trip, camping, etc. He was really awesome. But as soon as he got an ounce of fame, it went to his head and became very arrogant and a fame whore. Comment by Pumpkin10313. Not personally, but everyone in my town has a Dave Chappelle. I worked with a guy who said he knew him. I called BS. We then met Dave and they were actually friends. Basically, no one in town thought he would be much. Now he is a local hero, really down to earth. You literally see this man just chilling in the park in normal tea clothes. Nothing has changed him. You wouldn't think he was famous. Maybe homeless, but not famous. Comment by Hurricane 45449. I know this is not what the question is asking. It's sort of the other way around. Have you met a famous person who is as nice as people say? But just as about Tom Hanks, it has to be told. My cousin worked at legal chambers in London, and they were told a film crew were coming in to use it for a few weeks. They were told don't engage with the actors. Just go about your business. The film The Da Vinci Code, and as per both spoilers, Tom Hanks was in it. For a day or three, they all did as they were told, kept their heads down, until eventually Tom Hanks came and knocked on their lunchroom door. Basically, just say sorry for messing up where you work. Can I join you for lunch? And then it was on every day. Breakfast and lunch, where Tom permitted. Tom Hanks was hanging out with these guys like he was a new employee, reading the newspaper, making cups of tea, getting in the pagan rolls or whatever, calling people's family members to say, "Hi, it's Tom Hanks," for a laugh just to see this reaction. Basically, after a couple of weeks, was just like one of the team. Everyone on first name terms, just genuinely nice. Last day, he made sure to say bye to everyone. He brought them all some kind of gifts. I can't remember what, but it's really low-key, inexpensive but personal, which was a nice touch. Just a really wholesome time for people. People say Tom Hanks is an absolute lad, and it transpires he is. Comment by Sam Drummer. I knew Robert Pattinson about 15 years ago. Nice guy, friendly, a lot of fun to be with. He lived by himself in the center of Soho, London, a tiny one-bed flat that I think he felt like the romantic vision of a starving artist, or at least wanted to. He had a weird side. He'd say random, violent, depraved things. He was upset with Jack Nixon. He never really gave a fuck. He had confidence and he was always himself. And he knew he could be deliberately contradictory. And he used that as a personality trope. But he was a good guy, and I get the impression he's very comfortable with himself now that he has developed his career, that he acts very well, and that he can pick and choose his roles, hit upon what he wants to do, who he wants to work with. Twilight, for him, was always a means to an end, and I think he worked it very much to his benefit and didn't compromise himself. Comment by Dave Brookback Quartet.